I'm at the bank making money, making moves. Machines with tools and drills, making grooves. Missions impossible.
Hello and welcome to In the Green, a podcast where I have conversations with various members of the Invstr community. This is the first episode, and my guest today is Invstr's founder and CEO, Kerim Derhalli. Here is our conversation. Let's start by getting to know you, Kerim. What is your background in finance?
So I spent, you may not believe this, but I started my career way back in 1983. And I started as a management trainee at JP Morgan on Wall Street. And they gave me a really amazing start in my finance career. And then I spent the next 30 years working for them and for various other organizations all around the world. So I got to live in the US several times, obviously lived in Europe. I lived in Singapore, I lived in Tokyo. And just had an absolutely fascinating career doing a lot of very, very different things over the course of those 30 years.
How did that range of work experiences across different jobs and regions prepare you for starting Invstr?
Yeah, and I've been very, very lucky. I've traveled a lot and seen a lot, experienced a lot of different cultures. And that's, I think, diversity, we have a few values at Invstr. Diversity is one of them. Individual empowerment is another one of them, and collaboration is the third. And I just think the diversity that I've been able to enjoy of cultures, of skills, of other aspects has been, really extraordinary. Experiences has been fantastic.
That's awesome. So how did you get the idea to start Invstr?
That's really interesting. I was very lucky. The 25 years between 1983 and 2008, the crisis in 2008, were really a remarkable time. And then with the advent of social media and the mobile phone, right? The first iPhone in 2007, and platforms like Facebook really getting going. I guess from about 2005, 2010 onwards. What I realized is with the advent of social media, that the next revolution wasn't going to be in the wholesale side. The next revolution in financial services was going to be in the retail investor side. Because one of the distinguishing beliefs that we have at Invstr is that investing in financial markets are all about people. Fintech for us isn't about finance or technology. It's fundamentally about people. That's the thing that really differentiates Invstr as a platform, I think, from every other fintech in the world. That's, most other fintechs, every other fintech is kind of obsessed with transactions. We're obsessed with empowering people, helping people learn.
So on that note of a people-focused fintech app, one phrase I've often heard associated with Invstr is the term democratizing investing. Could you explain what that means?
Part of my experience in my career, what I've realized is that financial markets and investing have been traditionally very much an insider's game. And they've been dominated by professional investors, institutions and other asset managers and banks and brokers, who I think it's fair to say for the most part have looked down on retail investors, right? Typically, the finance industry has taken the view that retail investors don't know what they're doing and they can be taken advantage of. And that's kind of partly been the role of the regulator to stop retail investors being taken advantage of. But there's also, the finance industry has also created this sense that investing is really complex, is really hard, and that it's best left to experts. And I don't agree with any of that. And that's what Invstr is all about changing. It's about changing investing from being an insider's game to being something that everyone should be able to master. It's about changing the perception that investing is complex and you've really got to be super skilled and have lots of money to know what you're doing, to the perception that we believe quite passionately is that every single one of us is a natural investor. We're born understanding up and down and the emotions that drive financial markets. And we believe at Invstr that we can all learn how to invest. And so creating a social network where people can exchange views, exchange experiences, learn from each other, learn from hundreds of thousands of people all over the world. That to us is democratization.
Let's now focus on some of the specific aspects of the app. So, one of the main features of Invstr is the fantasy finance game. Can you explain how the game works?
So Fantasy Finance is a virtual portfolio management game. Everything is real apart from the money. So everyone gets $1 million to start and 100 trades, and you get to allocate that $1 million to different securities or instruments or across different asset classes, whether it's crypto or foreign exchange. Mainly stocks is the most popular asset class, broad set of instruments. And what we try and do in fantasy finance is help people learn a few really important fundamental things about investing.
So, what are some of the things that users can get out of the game?
The fundamental idea of fantasy finance is to make the process of investing fun, to expose people to financial markets in a way that they might not otherwise have been exposed, to help them understand some of these basics about investing, to have fun, competing against other people, and also not only competing, also it's a very social activity through the leaderboards and the feed that we have, but also to awaken in people the desire or the urge to do more, to explore more, to get better at it. It's like, I don't know what the right analogy is, but you start to do something, you think, you're surprised it's actually more fun than I expected, and now I want to get better at it. That's the job of fantasy finance. So it's to help people learn, but more importantly, it's meant to be an icebreaker, get people in, get people excited. I think financial markets are one of the most exciting things on earth. They reflect everything that's going on in the world. I mean, you look at how financial markets have moved post-COVID. You look at every major political event that's going on, the impact on financial markets. You look at what happened last month with the price of oil. And everything that goes on in the world is reflected in financial markets. If you want to understand the world, you want to understand your environment, financial markets are a great way of doing that.
Another important part of the app is the feed, which looks like the feed of most other social media apps. Could you explain a little bit more about the social aspect of the platform?
So, I mentioned earlier that for us, financial markets and investing is fundamentally about people. It's people who drive markets. It's the way that we all respond to news, the way we react, and the actions that we take thereafter that impact financial markets. And so understanding what other people are thinking and doing is essential. And so that's why we created the social network that we've built within Invstr. And we've created the ability for people to communicate and collaborate at a number of different levels. So I can follow another Invstr member, and by following him or her, that person, I can get to see what they're trading, everything that they buy, everything that they sell, assuming that they're not on private trading mode. I get to see that in my feed. When they post something, I get to see that in my feed. So if they're posting a comparison chart or a technical chart or a news story or just some views on the market, I get to see all of those in my feed. And that has been really, really powerful. I was chatting to a very experienced investor just the other day, super wealthy individual who's an avid user of Invstr. And he said, look, he tried out all of his favorite stocks in the platform, and none of them worked. And actually, where he had the most success was from the recommendations that he'd seen from other people, what other people were doing. So it's really, really powerful. I think this ability for us to learn from each other is super important, what we call peer-to-peer learning.
What are some of the new developments in the app that users should be looking forward to?
We're going to be launching a new brokerage service relatively soon. The new brokerage offering is going to have some really powerful features. It's going to be free, and it's also going to include a bank account, and it's also going to include crypto trading. So, more on that coming up. Keep your eyes peeled on that. We're going to be announcing that officially in the next few weeks. The other product that we're working on is something that we call stats. And what I think people are looking for, it's one of the biggest problems that people have, is they're looking for more help understanding what they should be buying and selling, and also understanding how well they're doing. People want to know. It's probably the most common question is, and it's a question that people ask whether you've got $100 or $100 million. Everyone asks the same question: what should I buy or sell? And so what we've done with stats is we're providing a lot more insight into each and every security on the Invstr platform. The kind of questions are: is this a growth stock? Is this a stock that's super cheap? Is this a stock that pays me a big dividend if I just hold it? Is this a stock that's doing really well at the moment? So these are all, in the professional investing world, these are all things that we call factors. So growth, momentum, value, income, quality, stability. These are the kinds of things that professional asset managers look at when they're analyzing their portfolios or analyzing what it is they should be buying. No one else is making this kind of analysis available to retail investors. So we think we're going to be the first people to do this. We're going to do it in a super easy to understand way. We're going to introduce factor-based analysis for each and every instrument in the platform.
And what are users going to be able to do with this information?
So we're going to be able to start telling people about their investing personalities. We're going to be able to start telling them about the investing personality of an instrument, the investing personality of a league that they're a member of. We think that's going to be super, super powerful. We're even going to be able to tell you, did you buy at the right time? Did you sell at the right time? We'll tell you things like, on average, how long do you hold an investment for? On average, how much of your portfolio is invested? How much is sitting in cash and how much is actually invested and working hard for you? So all of these kinds of things, I think, is going to be really eye-opening. It's almost like having a coach standing beside you, analyzing. It's like having a video coach almost, analyzing what you're doing and coaching you and telling you, what you're doing well, what you're doing not so well, and what you need to do to improve your game. I think it's going to be a big, big game changer.
Thank you for listening to my conversation with Invstr's founder and CEO, Kerim Derhalli. Tune back in next week for the next episode of In the Green.
Making money, making moves, machines with tools and drills, making grooves, missions impossible.
I am not a financial advisor, and my comments should never be taken as financial advice. Investments come with risk, so always do your research and analysis beforehand.